A delightful evening. Welcome to the world now at 4 on Hills TV. I am Uduak Daniel. First, let's talk the headlines. And on the headlines, federal government clueless on ASUU strike solution. Still on the headlines, Odinga's supporters react to Supreme Court decision. Also on the headlines, Truss takes over office as Johnson bows. And on sports, Wolves to appeal Diego Costa work permit denial. And now the news in detail. President Muhammadu Buhari has, on behalf of the citizens and government of Nigeria, congratulated the new Prime Minister of Britain, Liz Truss, on her assumption of the trusted position of leadership. The president rejoices with the former Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs of the United Kingdom, that is the UK, whose antecedents in government, politics and diplomacy will further shape and strengthen relations with Nigeria and other nations. Nigeria, as it's confirmed that the shared ties between Nigeria and Britain remain strong, positive and mutually beneficial, while working with Prime Minister Liz Truss to deepen that relationship in the interest of both countries. President Buhari appreciates the warmth and friendliness of the immediate past Prime Minister Boris Johnson, wishing him the best in his future endeavors. Also, the President Muhammadu Buhari met behind closed doors with President Andrzej Duda of Poland at the State House, Abuja. According to reports, Polish president who arrived at the presidential villa was received by the Nigerian leader at the forecourt of the State House. The two leaders went into bilateral talks to discuss issues concerning both countries as well as international matters. And now the Minister of Education, Adamu Adamu, has said that the federal government has done all it can to end the ongoing strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, that is ASUU, saying the federal government entered an agreement that cannot be met. He said this to reporters at an ongoing meeting with pro-chancellors and vice-chancellors of the federal universities at the National Universities Commission, that is the NUC Abuja. As of the time of filing this report, the meeting has gone into a closed-door session, with the minister expected to brief reporters at the end of the meeting. The strike, which in its 6 months has kept public universities closed, with students and Nigerians confused as to when it will all end. Part of the demands of the union are holding out for include funding for revitalization of public universities, payment of earned academic allowances, that is the EAA, earned allowances, that is the EA, payment of salary shortfalls, stop the proliferation of state universities by governors, setting up of visitation panels. Others are renegotiation of the 2009 FGN ASUU agreement, adoption of the University Transparency and Accountability Solution, that is the UTAS, as a payment platform for university lecturers, and payment of withheld salaries and non-remittance of check-off duties. Federal government has assured Nigerians that the worst of insecurity bothering the country is said to be over. This was made known in a joint press conference held by the Ministers of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, Information, Culture and Tourism, Lai Mohammed, Police Affairs, Dingyadi, and Defense, Bashir Magashi, in Abuja, the nation's capital. During the briefing, the Minister of Information made it known that the military has succeeded in combating terrorism in a large extent, noting the high level of insecurity across the country, noting that the nation may still experience isolated attacks.
As far as the daunting security challenges we face are concerned, we can tell you that the worst is over, and never again will terrorists and bandits and their cohorts hold sway in our country. As I said at a summit organized by the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations in Abuja on August 23, 2022, President Muhammadu Buhari's directive to the military to crush those terrorizing our citizens is working. Hence, peace and security are gradually being restored to the country.
Also speaking, the Minister of Defense, Bashir Magashi, stated that Boko Haram terrorists have been dealt with across the board, with the new combat equipment being purchased to fight the terrorists. He also assured Nigerians that security has been placed at the Kaduna-Abuja highway to ensure safety of citizens commuting across states.
Across the globe, I must say with pride that our peacekeepers have had to resort peace in many conflict areas around the globe, which has earned Nigeria national individual commendation from several nations.
The government said the killing of 66 Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists, arrest of 96 and surrendering of 3,407 were pointed to the fact that the war against terrorists and other criminals was yielding positive results. And to yet another story, the leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students, that is the NANS, has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to personally step in to broker peace between the Academic Staff Union of Universities, that is ASUU, ASU, and the administration by holding a meeting with the relevant parties in the State House, Aso Villa, Abuja. NANS President Comrade Usman Umar Barambu, while speaking with journalists at the end of the association's national convention in Abuja on Monday, lamented that the incessant strikes by the lecturers had affected the academic calendar of public-owned universities and had negatively impacted on the future of Nigerian students, as a program of 4 years now lasts for 6 or more years. Earlier, the chairman communique drafting committee, Comrade Usman Ayuba, urged President Muhammadu Buhari to bring on board capable hands with experience and capacity to stem the tide of insecurity in the country. He appealed to the government to proffer workable solutions to address incessant clashes between farmers and herders across the country. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Don't go away. Quite a delight to have you back. This is The World Now at 4 on Hills TV. Talking more stories from the African scene, residents of Raila Odinga's stronghold, Kisumu, reacted to the news that the country's Supreme Court has dismissed Odinga's petition to overturn the August presidential election results, which named his rival, William Ruto, the winner. Some felt their victory had been stolen from them and are really waiting for further direction from their kingpin, Odinga.
And we shall not maybe call Ruto president. We are going to call Raila Amolo president. If it is something that happened in 2017, that is the same thing that we are going to do. We are going to swear in Raila Amolo Odinga as the president elect, so that we can have 2 presidents. And if anything happens, we are going to call for secession so that the Kenya can be divided.
Odinga enjoys massive support, especially from the western regions of Kenya. He has vied over 5 times since 1997 and has always claimed a plot to rig him out. Ruto's election as the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya has attracted criticism from Odinga's supporters. Kenya is the most dynamic economy in East Africa, but many are suffering deep hardship, with prices for basic goods skyrocketing and unemployment major problem, particularly among the youth. And now let's have you know that Moroccan Foreign Affairs Minister Nasser Bourita met Monday with his Jordanian counterpart Ayman al-Safadi in Amman. Bourita said the
Morocco says it supports the 2-state solution
to end the Palestinian-Israeli conflict by establishing an independent Palestinian state and East Jerusalem as its capital on the June 1967 borders. Jordan administers the Al-Aqsa Mosque, built on the contested hilltop compound. It is a frequent flashpoint in the ancient city holy to the 3 monastical faiths. In a joint statement, Bourita said that Morocco is working with Jordan to support Jerusalemites and to preserve the Arab and Islamic identity of Jerusalem. Al-Safadi expressed Jordan's support for Morocco's territorial integrity of the Kingdom of Morocco and the necessity of resolving the issue of the Moroccan Sahara in accordance with United Nations, that is the UN resolutions, and on the basis of the Autonomy Initiative. The area has seen conflict for many years. Bourita and Al-Safadi also discussed bilateral relations and ways to ease issuing visas between the two kingdoms to facilitate businesses, especially for the private sector. We now move to other parts of the world. Don't go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us into other parts of the world. Starting with Canada, let's have you know that the Canadian police have found the body of one of two brothers wanted for a mass stabbing attack that left 10 people dead and 18 injured in the province of Saskatchewan on Sunday. Royal Canadian Mounted Police Assistant Commissioner Rhonda Blackmore and officers said Damien Sanderson, 31, had injuries that did not appear self-inflicted, but gave no details.
At 1:17 p.m. today, it was confirmed by Saskatchewan RCMP Forensic Investigation Section that the deceased is Damien Sanderson. His body was located outdoors in a heavily grassed area in proximity to a house that was being examined. We can confirm he has visible injuries. These injuries are not believed to be self-inflicted at this point. The exact cause of death will be determined in conjunction with the Saskatchewan Coroner's Office, with the date and time for that examination to be determined.
The stabbing spree has rocked the usually peaceful province, with police investigating 13 different crime scenes. The suspect's motives remain unknown. Both were charged with murder, despite not being arrested. His 30-year-old brother might also have sustained injuries, and police have warned the public he might seek medical assistance. But police did not say whether he was responsible for his brother's death. Miles Sanderson, who was previously known to the police, is described as having an extensive and lengthy criminal record dating back a number of years. And now, let's have you know that Liz Truss has taken charge of office in British Prime Minister today, when she followed outgoing leader Boris Johnson in meeting with Queen Elizabeth II for a ceremonial transfer of power, showcasing centuries of tradition, but also the uncertainty and gloom hanging over the country. Johnson formally offered his resignation to the Queen at Balmoral, her castle in Scotland, after delivering a farewell address outside his Downing Street office early Tuesday. Truss, who was announced as the leader of the ruling Conservative Party a day earlier, is now the 15th leader of the Queen's reign and the country's third female Prime Minister. She was formally appointed during her own subsequent audience with the monarch. This was the first time in the Queen's 70-year reign that the handover of power took place at her summer retreat rather than at Buckingham Palace in London. The ceremony, known as the Kissing Hands, was moved to Scotland to provide certainty about the schedule because of the 96-year-old's mobility problems. Before heading north, Johnson addressed the nation surrounded by his family and a crowd of supporters, defiantly defending the scandal-hit tenure that was ultimately cut short by a rebellion from his own lawmakers.
To be a relay race, they changed the rules halfway through, but never mind that now. And through that lacquered black door, a new Prime Minister will shortly go to meet a fantastic group of public servants. The people who got Brexit done, the people who delivered the fastest vaccine rollout in Europe, and never forget, 70% of the entire population got a dose within 6 months, faster than any comparable country. That is government for you. That's this Conservative government.
And away from that story, Russia has been forced to buy military hardware from North Korea as sanctions squeeze Moscow's ability to supply its military, U.S. media have reported. According to declassified intelligence obtained by the New York Times, Russia has bought millions of artillery shells and rockets from Pyongyang. A U.S. official said Russia would be forced to buy additional North Korean weaponry as the war dragged on. Last week, Moscow reportedly received its first order of new Iranian drones. Iran and North Korea, both the targets of significant Western sanctions, have sought to deepen ties with Russia since President Vladimir Putin launched its invasion of Ukraine in February. Kim Jong-un's regime has blamed the U.S. for the conflict and accused the West of pursuing a hegemonic policy that justified Russia's use of force. And now away from that, let's get on to this short break. When we come back, it will be business on The World Now at 4. Welcome back to the news desk on The World Now at 4 and Hills TV, talking the news on business. U.S. Department of Commerce released Tuesday its plan for implementing its $50 billion program to subsidize domestic chip manufacturing and expand research. The CHIPS Creating Helpful Incentives to Produce Semiconductors for America fund is meant to boost efforts to make the United States more competitive with China's science and technology efforts. According to the department, in a statement, specific guidance for companies on how to make applications will be released by early February 2023. And away from that, Russia has warned that it will not resume gas supplies along a key pipeline to Europe until sanctions are lifted. Moscow has blamed Western countries for its decision not to reopen the Nord Stream 1 pipeline after it was shut for 3 days for maintenance. Gas prices soared on Monday due to mounting concerns over energy supplies. The Dutch month-ahead wholesale gas price, a benchmark for Europe, was up as much as 30% in early trading on Monday. Prices in the UK rose as much as 35% before winding back to £4.50 per therm. Wholesale prices have been very volatile in recent weeks. They fell sharply last week when Germany announced that its gas storage facilities were filling up faster than expected. Europe has accused Russia of using gas supplies to blackmail European countries because of the Ukraine conflict. Still to come in The World Now at 4 is sports. Do stay with us.
Very good evening and welcome to Sport News on World Now at 4. I am Richard Badum. Nigeria and USA clash in Washington, D.C. later tonight as the Super Falcons will be looking out to get a revenge after suffering a 4-0 defeat from the 4-time world champion. The USA trounced the Super Falcons 4-0 in the first game after when they faced themselves at the Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City, Missouri on Saturday with a brace from Sophia Smith and 1 goal each by Lindsey Horan and Alex Morgan, sealing an emphatic win for the Americans. Super Falcons coach Randy Waldrum assured improvements as the team will be in action later tonight.
We're going to look at some other players. You know, we still didn't get Onyeka Echegini in. We didn't get Esther into the game. we need to see those players as well. And obviously we'll continue to study the video from the first match and try to clean up some things defensively. The hard part is you're playing against a team that's not only the best in the world, but they're in the peak of their physical condition. They're all in the league here in the U.S., which is getting ready for playoffs. So physically, they're in a better place than us.
Although both teams have qualified for next year's Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand, today's encounter will take place at the O'Day Field in Washington. O'Day Field is utilized by National Women's Soccer League side Washington Spirit and Major League Soccer team DC United, and though the U.S. women national team have played 10 times previously in Washington, it is the first run out at the O'Day Field. The game will commence at 11 p.m. Nigerian time, while 6 p.m. in Washington time. Moving away from that story, Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen looks set to recover on time for Napoli's UEFA Champions League meeting with Liverpool on Wednesday. Napoli sporting director Cristiano Giuntoli, speaking in an interview with newsmen, noted that Osimhen has a little bit of discomfort in his adjunct. There is no injury, it's fatigue. Adding that Osimhen suffered only mild discomfort and no injuries. Osimhen did not attend the team's Monday training session, but worked on his own as Napoli prepared for their first game against Liverpool. Napoli is taking action to ease doubts from fans, which fear that Osimhen could be seriously injured. The Nigerian has scored 14 goals, which helped Napoli qualify for the Champions League this season, as the Naples side finished third in Serie A last season. Pace bowler Lauren Ball has received the first international 2020 call-up, while Catherine Bruns has been rested for England's 3-match series against India this month. Bell, 21, made a test and one-day international debut earlier this year. England's leading T20 wicket-taker Bruns, 37, has opted to miss both the T20 and subsequent ODI series. Nat Siva will continue to lead England in the absence of injured captain Heather Knight. And away from that story, let's quickly tell you down to the English Premier League that Wolverhampton Wanderers have launched an appeal to the Football Association after failing to gain a work permit for Diego Costa. Costa is traveling to Wolverhampton, training based as the Premier League club wait for news of their appeal. And that's sport news on World Now at 4. Back to Uduak Daniel for the rest of the news. I'm Richard Badon.
Quite a fierce impact right there from boss Richard Badung on sports. Thank you so very much. And that's how we call it a close for the World Now at 4. But before we go, a quick look at our top stories. We told you federal government clueless on ASUU strike solution. We also told you Odinga's supporters react to Supreme Court's decision. We brought to the fore the fact that Truss takes over office as Johnson bows. And on sports, Wolves to appeal Diego Costa work permit denial. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hills TV, Instagram at Hills TV. Our YouTube channel is at Hills TV. I am Uduak Daniel. Thank you for watching.